I make these YouTube movies because I just want them to be accessible to more people. And they are. The other day somebody wrote in frantic. Her father just got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And she said, I found you through YouTube, so they work. So that's why, because Real Networks donated a $20,000 program to us so that we could host our own movies, and we do, like the Two-Step Startup, which is 3.5 hours long. We host that. YouTube, you can only do a 10-minute movie. So now, onward. Celeste cured her lupus, I guess, in the year 1999. It was when we first moved down here. And I'm not sure how first, so it could have been the year 2000, but whatever. Anyway, it took her probably a couple months because we didn't ever have cured lupus before. We didn't know how to do it, and we probably just, did it the slow, clunky way. Anyway, but there it was gone, and she was fine. And she had secondary arthritis, which crippled her. She was on disability. And then her fingers started, moving around pretty good, and she went back to work, And so, Celeste was trucking along for a number of years, and I've kept in touch with Celeste. I talked to her recently. Anyway, about 2 years after she cured that, maybe around 2 years, maybe 2002. We were at the same house. We've moved since then, so this is how I remember things, Anyway, I called her up for no special reason, but intuitive me, I always call people at the exact right moment. It's amazing. I mean, it's manifesting, it's serendipity, it's the secret, and this is the way my whole life is, no kidding. Really it is, I call up Celeste, hey, how are you? And she says, I got the lupus back. And I said, what? She says, it started an hour ago. I said, what? What? I kept saying, what? See, this is what I think about Graves' disease. Now you understand, what it can be, You've got an autoimmune disease, and I would say lupus is at least partially an autoimmune disease. And, it's a response that your body has learned. It's now part of your body's response repertoire, So I said, what happened? And she didn't know, and I was busy. I just, wanted to say hello for a minute, but all of a sudden I got another call. But the thing I said to her is, well, why didn't you take it out? Why didn't you, do the thing that you did when you originally cured it, right? I mean, you would think anybody would know that, but it's funny how few people do. They don't think of it. Me too, by the way, we don't think to cure things when we get them. Sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. I mean, eventually it dawns on us, usually. I have actually talked to people who it didn't dawn on till I talked to them, like her, but she was only an hour into it. Maybe given a few hours, she might have thought of it for herself, But I said to her, why didn't you take it out? What's going on? She said, I didn't think of it, And funny thing, at that point, I got another call. So I said, I'll call you back in a minute, thinking I was going to have to call her back and walk her through the procedure again and help her cure the lupus, right? So I handled this thing, and I don't remember how long it was, but it wasn't more than half an hour or something. I called her back, and it was gone. She cured it again. She took it out, and the symptoms disappeared. And she's never had another incidence of lupus. But the question is, does she still have lupus? And it didn't really, I never thought about this much until I was going to make this movie about Graves' disease. And then I listened to the Cure show about Graves' disease. And when I was listening to Annette, I think her name is, describing it, and I listened to her cure it, and one of her symptoms, one of her physical symptoms was I think it was paralyzed toes or fingers or something. And she was wiggling them at the end of the show they changed, and she was able to move them, and they felt normal. And so I started to think, well, okay, these physical changes are very important. They're very important changes. Now, I want to tell you, okay, about how to cure this thing. So what I'm going to tell you is, first of all, when you listen to the cure shows, and we only have one cure show about Graves' disease, it's a good one. That is one thing I will say. But we only have one cure show. You could also do a cure show. That's how do you cure it? Do a cure show, and we'll cure it with you, and you will give this to the world. Most people I have found who come in here don't care about anyone but themselves. And yet, somebody told you about this. And if for no other way than, you see this tally? Well, other people reported these cures. And this is a bumper sticker, by the way. Maybe you saw one of these and that's how you found out. So somebody told you about it that way. But somebody cared enough about you to report their cures. So it's time for, you to, stand up. Curing things is a big responsibility. We don't just cure things for ourselves. And by the way, I think you'll find it's probably a lot easier to cure things when you're not just curing them for yourself, but when you're curing them for, for God or for humanity or for, for all the people who will cure things because you did. If you cure Graves' disease, a lot of people will. Especially if you broadcast it from the housetops in any way you can, which is why we have immunics wear, we have cure wear, we have, these shirts with your, that say, that say this. That's what they say. We have shirts that say that, see? And when people see that, they ask questions. Usually when you see somebody's IBM logo on their shirt, you don't ask a question about it, But about this, people ask questions. Believe it, because they do. Okay, so these are ways you cure it. I'm telling you how to cure it, which I will go on doing now. When you listen to the cure shows, you don't exactly imitate what you hear. It's more like you adapt it to yourself. You adopt what you're hearing and you adapt it. And one thing that you're going to hear is that in this book, and also in the college, there are, what things like the book and the college do. Okay. Let me backtrack. All right, let me say this. Okay, let me backtrack. You did lesson 1, and you learned that there are 4 signals. Yes? Okay. What is the signal? The signal that's going to lead you out of Graves' disease. There's one signal. The other signals are far less important, less essential. One signal that's going to lead you out of Graves' disease. Let me give you a hint. It's not the finger movement. Okay? So you got 3 left to choose from. Actually, it can't be the negative medical test because that takes too long. You need something that's going to come immediately. So what's the signal that's going to give you that immediate awareness that you've cured this, or are curing it, or it's going, or your immune system is learning a few new tricks even though it's an old dog?